Self-improvement, growing up, making a change, the art of getting better. Now, I've been on a self-improvement journey for 5 years now, and I wanted to share some of the key takeaways that I've had from it. At first, it started as a bit of fun, learning what was possible and what humans are really capable of. But slowly over time, it became an obsession. It became part of who I was. This is my take on the journey so far, and hopefully it can help some people, but if not, enjoy the video. Before getting into any of the key lessons, I wanted to share a little backstory on myself. My name is Morgan Bedford, I'm 22 years old, and since I was maybe 12, 13, I've always had massive anxiety about how I look, how I sound, what I'm doing, if people like me, if I fit in. I've always felt deep down that I was destined for more, that I could do great things, meet great people, and have a life that I could be proud of. But this was always overshadowed by fear and anxiety, and for the sake of the video, let's call these demons. Now, when I got into self-improvement, I really started to learn what fear, anxiety, pressure, all of these attributes that a lot of people feel, and how to potentially help them or fight back against the demons. Lesson 2, you will fail a lot. I used to be so scared by the word failure. I used to think that attempting something and not succeeding would define who I was as a person. A failure. Failing a lot doesn't define you as a failure. It shows that you're able to get back off the floor and keep grinding. It shows that you have resilience. It shows that you're able to push through things even when they're hard. It wasn't till around a year ago when my mindset really changed around this. Failing at something doesn't mean you are a failure. It's finding a way that something doesn't work, which puts you one step closer to finding something that does. Something taking a long period of time can often put people off, and it did for me as well. We want everything and we want it now. We live in a world where short-term gratification, dopamine rush is everything we want. We have TikTok, we have porn, we have sweets, chocolate, takeaways, and often we overindulge in these things because it gives us that sort of boost of feel good right there and then. But anything that seems to take a bit longer, whether that's eating healthily, going to the gym, working on a business, these things seem less desirable because we have that short-term option there, and this can really make the journey feel even longer. I think it's all about delayed gratification at this stage, or at least it is for me anyway. The moment I started learning that you could improve yourself, and not just the improvement that you make over time anyway, but making a concentrated effort to getting better. I wanted to be better right there and then, and I thought that it would only take weeks or months to be able to get to that point. What I've learned over the last couple of years is that it really is a slow process. It's about making little improvement. Sometimes you don't even feel like you're actually making that much progress until you really reflect back a few months down the line and you look at where you are now to where you were then, and you actually do see a big difference. The best example I can give of this is if you go to the gym. Now, if you're looking at yourself in the mirror every single day, you don't really see the subtle differences that are happening. But if you look at any transformation video, or if you've done one yourself where you've took a photo 3 months ago and you've got a photo now, and you really see how much has changed, and it's like it's mad because you didn't see that. You can't, when you're constantly living in the present moment, you don't realize what is actually changing. But taking the time to reflect and go back, you really get to see what has happened. What works for me won't work for you, and vice versa. Some things will, some things won't. It is really dependent. What I've found is by trial and error, and going through a process of trying something for a certain amount of time, then sitting back, reviewing it, seeing what worked, what didn't, getting rid of what didn't, keeping what does, and then moving on to the next thing. And then through this trial and error process, you end up whittling down what exactly works for you, your situation, your mentality, your emotions, and then you're able to find the best route. Sometimes it feels like you're making loads of progress, getting stronger in the gym, talking to more people, not feeling as anxious. But then other days it can feel like the progress is halted, and you're eating worse, you can't get out of bed, and it's just like anything. There's good and there's bad days, and I think what really made it worse for me was whenever I did have a bad day, I would really sort of focus on all of the negatives and think that I'm not going to be able to improve past this point. But if you look at this graph, which hopefully if I'm good enough at editing, yeah, I'll be able to draw it, you start making progress, and you might stop a little bit, or you might start getting worse, and you then think that you're back to square one. But if you actually compare that to where you were a month ago, a week ago, a year ago, you can see that even though you've gone down, you're not back at baseline, you're not where you started. You're simply just having a bit of a rough patch. But when I really zoomed out and looked at the bigger picture, these little days are insignificant in the long run, because the trend is still up. You're still making progress. It's just not every day and how perfect as you'd like. Putting pressure on yourself to be perfect at everything straight away, I believe, leads to burnout and causes these weeks or days of not being up to scratch, or not following through with the habits that you want to get done. What I've found to be the most beneficial is to try and do a little bit of everything, so leaving some gas in the tank for other things. For example, instead of going to the gym and doing an hour and a half session, trying to do that 5 times a week, whilst also trying to make some YouTube videos and work and spend time with my girlfriend, is just do things in little bunches. So I'd go to the gym and I'd spend maybe 45 minutes, and then I'd have enough energy left to be able to try and write a video or spend time with my family, and just doing things a little bit at a time with the intention of increasing intensity as time goes on, once the consistency's there, because consistency is more important than intensity. If you're able to eat healthily 5 days a week, and then you have 2 days where you're unhealthy, that's better than eating really healthy for 1 day a week and then binging the rest of them. Consistency is probably the harder of the two to get down, because sometimes when you're in this